Alright. Take it easy, okay? Just fetch the ball. I want to start this episode by saying if you're the parent of a child who spends far too much time on their iPad, far too much time on their Nintendo Switch, far too much time on their computer, far too much time on their phone, whatever, too much time playing video games, I want to tell you the following. It's going to be okay. Like many of your children, like my children, I spent too much time on my video games. My name is Amir Afsar. I'm a California licensed attorney, and although we're not in my office, it doesn't change the fact that I'm still an attorney. It doesn't change the fact that as a kid, I spent far too much time on my video games. And so, I turned out all right. I think your kids will be all right too. I can't exactly tell you when my love or passion for video games started. I can just tell you the following. If my parents wanted me to do anything, the smartest thing they could do was threaten to take away my controllers, my Nintendo, the Sega, whatever it was video game wise that I was playing with. It's kind of an interesting story. I was a little bit of a spoiled brat, I'm not gonna lie, spoiled little kid. And when I was 15, the only thing I wanted was a car. When I was 16, the thing I was really focused on was when I turned 16, I'd get a car. But when I was 15, what did I want for my birthday? I didn't care. How about nothing? Just save it. Put it towards the car when I'm 16. My parents weren't having that. My dad asked me over and over, what do you want?
What do you want?
What do you want for your 15th birthday? Well, what I wanted was a Street Fighter 2 machine. I mean, I know that sounds ridiculous, but my dad used to go to the grocery store and take me with him long before I had a car. When you're like a hostage of your parents, we've all been there. I think that's Chris. That's Chris. When I was a 15-year-old boy, you can ask my sister, I yelled it out. I cried. I said, one day I'm gonna own my own Street Fighter 2. That day, it's today. Alright, here we go. Tell 1, 2, 3. Oh my God. Maybe you should take this in.
Want me to do it?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. The moral of that story is you have to take the help when it arrives. But I was getting into a little story about back when I was a kid, my dad would go to the grocery store and drop me off like a couple stores down, and there was a video game there that I liked a lot, a Street Fighter 2 machine. And whenever my father was done with the grocery store, he'd come in and be like, it's time to go. And oftentimes I wasn't really ready to go, and I would get pulled out of the store by the ear. Eventually got to the point where I kept telling my father I wanted one of these games, and of course that was a ridiculous request. We rented one for a short period of time, I think like 3 or 4 weeks. It was pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. I had a bunch of friends over just about every day after school, pounding on the buttons and, you know, throwing the fireballs, doing the things that you do on a Street Fighter machine. But when it was time for it to go away, like any kid, I was disappointed. I didn't want it to go away. All good things must come to an end, but I didn't want it to come to an end. I was unwilling to accept that ending. Unfortunately, when that company came to pick up the machine, they picked it up and took it away, and I was devastated. And in a fit of childish rage, I turned to my father and I yelled, one day when I'm an adult, I'll have a Street Fighter 2 in my house. My dad, he kind of laughed and he said, yeah, sure, in your own house you can do whatever you want. Well, here I am in my own house, doing whatever I want. Since we're talking about the video games that I have in my house, let's give you a brief tour of the arcade, if you will. I think it's ridiculous called arcade. I think it's more like the invasion of video games in the living room. But anyways, behind me is the Super Chex hockey table. It's like a bubble dome for hockey. If you ever played foosball, it's like the hockey version of foosball. Of course, over here is Burger Time. It's a classic game. There's a couple different games in that cabinet, but Burger Time is the main one. The big boy you see behind me, that's Street Fighter 2. I've spent a lot of my time, as you heard in this episode, playing Street Fighter 2. If you want some, come get some, you know? And of course, there's Miss Pac-Man. You can't have an arcade without Miss Pac-Man and NBA Jams, a classic basketball game, NBA Jams. So that's kind of what makes up my arcade. They're the games that give me the most nostalgic feeling, the games that I remember from my childhood, and there'll probably be more coming soon. Alright, so that's it, a vlog about how you should just let your kids play video games all day long and everything will be fine. No, that's not exactly it. I think what I really want to get at is the following. If you have something that you know your kids value and enjoy, you can use that as a tool. You can make it an incentive. Of course, you can offer more time. Hey, you can get an hour on your iPad if you do this. I'll give you 50 cents for that Street Fighter if you take care of this for me. Get a good grade and I'll make sure that you have enough coins to play. You see what I'm trying to say? You can create an incentive. You can also do the opposite and create a punishment. If you don't get good grades, I'm gonna take away your PlayStation 4. PlayStation 5, depends, right? If you don't do what I want you to do, I will remove your time. I will disconnect your iPad from the internet. I will take away the video games you like. So of course, that's a sort of an obvious one. But there is a little benefit about video games I don't think people properly consider. If you're Mario trying to save the princess, right? If you're something more advanced, maybe you're playing Madden, Fortnite, any of the more advanced games, there's always a little bit of a puzzle. It's problem solving. There's a bad guy. You have to defeat the bad guy, right? In Street Fighter 2, one of the reasons I like it so much, every character has an opposite. Every character might have something that they're good at. Maybe they throw fireballs and uppercuts, but there's another character who can defend against those things, right? For every yin, there's a yang. For everything that there's something that you're good at, there's something that you're bad at in every single character. And that same thing is true across the genre of video games. So when your kids are spending their time playing those video games, they're also learning problem solving skills and hand-eye coordination. And with that, you never know what they'll be able to do. Maybe one day, instead of, wasting their time playing video games, that maybe is what you're thinking, they'll use that. You'll be able to use that passion, that desire to create an incentive for them to do something bigger. Maybe something like law school, and then when they're an adult and an attorney, they can look back and say, my parents never gave me the games I want, but now I work hard and look, I'm getting the games for myself. Nothing wrong with that at all, just like there's nothing wrong with you subscribing and watching another episode of UNBILLABLE right down here.